Hi. I know I look totally sexy right now, but I just want to talk about the topic. Even though my hair looks interesting. Hello, kitty. I want to talk about weeaboos. Now, most people, they tell weeaboo horror stories. They tell weeaboo horror stories about other people. I was a weeaboo horror story. Now, I wasn't as bad as most people, well, most weeaboo horror stories are, but I was pretty bad. I mean, I know we all have our weeby moments, or, we go through a weeb stage, or there's this one anime, or this one fandom that we're just like, oh my god, ah! I'm gonna start my cat moving my computer. And, I know, if I see somebody who looks like a character, I'm not going to run up to them and glomp them, but I'm going to be like, secretly when they're not looking, oh my god, they look like that character from that anime. Anyway, I was a weeaboo horror story. Majorly. Kitty. Or as I would have said then, Nakabaka. Anyway, I started watching anime in the early 7th grade. The first anime I had watched, and I'm in 9th grade right now. The first anime I had watched was in 6th grade. I watched one episode, and I thought it was kind of weird, but I liked it. And then I started watching it more in 7th grade. My first anime was Ouran High School Host Club. We all ended up calling each other Ouran names, everybody who liked it in my group. Not people who didn't even watch it, but we called them the names. They didn't even know what it was, and they were kind of creeped out by it. Like, we called one chick Renge, and we used honorifics horribly. I would call people in the same grade or lower than me senpai, and I called a crush of mine Oni-chan, not knowing it meant big brother. I just thought it was endearing. And it was just Chan, San, Senpai, Sensei. It was horrible. And want to know how I met my current boyfriend? Yes, we're still going out. We've been going out since 7th grade. Okay, he was kind of the emo, cool boy that was probably gay, but he was still really hot. That every girl wanted. Especially since he was a new kid. So, my friend and I were looking at him. I'd given him some flirty glances before. That he looked like Nekazawa. Or how we always said Nekazawa Senpai. So, instead of just being like, oh, hey, dude, do you like Ouran? Oh, you would be a great Nekazawa. You thinking about joining our group? I ran up to him and yelled, you look like Nekazawa! Wanna join our cosplay group, roleplay group thing? Thank God he knew what it was. He said yes, and then I ran away and squeed in the corner. Another thing was, I wrote terrible fan fictions. Now, I'm not talking just, wasn't that good just because I was younger. It was like this. Talk for 3 seconds, sex, 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 sex. Talk for 3 seconds, sex, 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 sex. And see, that's okay every once in a while, if it's good. This wasn't every once in a while, and it was bad. Now, I got better by the end of the year. One of my more popular fan fictions I actually wrote at the end of the 7th grade. I'm not as frequent with my fan fictions anymore. But they're still really bad. You can tell a major difference between mine now and mine then. I think I used underside and length like 50 times per fan fiction. I recently gave my first fan fiction to a friend for him to read. He's a heterosexual man, but he still read it for me. He said, were you a virgin when you wrote this? I was like, of course, I was 12. Anyway, you had to be a virgin writing this. And it's like, you don't know if I'm a virgin or not. Go away. Anyway, I did everything, just about every weeaboo did, and it got worse and worse, especially when I got into Black Butler and Hitalia. Black Butler and Hitalia are infamous for being the yaoi weeaboo crazy fangirl animes. I still like those animes, very much so. They're interesting, and they're very diverse, especially Hitalia, but I like Black Butler a little more. But It's bad to start watching those animes when you're still in your weeaboo phase. Got anybody who looks slightly like a character, they were automatically that character. I was calling everybody either a country or a butler. It was horrible, and people got freaked out by me. And I got very sexual. All my friends and I would talk about is sex. This was also going through my C and Jeffree Star blood on the dance floor phase, so that didn't help either. And everything I did had to be about anime. I still love anime. I'm pretty obsessed with anime. I have anime t-shirts. I'm wearing a Pocky button right now. I love Japanese culture. But then, that's all I talked about. That is all I talked about. Now I have many other things. I have interest in theater, interest in dolls. I'm, more interested in different book series, in languages, in fashion. It's Japanese fashion, but still, it's different. That's all I talked about. All I did. Watched AMVs, read fan fictions, wrote fan fictions, watched anime. That is all I did. Roleplay. I was obsessed with role-playing. It was horrible role-playing. I actually have a role-play that originally was Oron, but it spiraled drastically out of control into like a weird witch-wizard thing. I still do it for fun sometimes, but it's not Oron anymore. I don't know what this is. And it was so horrible. I would write fan fictions during math class, my worst subject, and during English class, my best subject. My grades dropped so much that year, just because I was constantly writing fan fictions. And anybody Asian, I called them my pet Asian. I was that bad. And my friend and I, let's call her Nihon. No, just kidding, it's Sky. She and I had something called a list, the list, about which anime characters we owned and when we owned them. We actually made a Facebook page about it, which I think still exists. And there was a group. And we actually would fight about the anime characters and be kind of depressed when we didn't have the anime character we liked the most. I think we stopped it before we got into Hitalia. That would have been a really complicated long list. It was just extremely ridiculous, and I'm not even going to get started onto my cosplays. I started cosplaying in the beginning of 8th grade. This is when my weebiness was finally wearing off. I had a horrible Misa Amane cosplay and the Sobi cosplay from Loveless. I used the same wig. It was a ratty-ass wig from Party City. Very tangly, very shiny, very thick. And I'm not talking good shiny either. And my Sobi cosplay had holes in it. You could see my sports bra underneath. I wore ripped jeans, my own jeans. I wore my own shirt. I had an old Halloween costume for Misa. I wore no makeup. It was horrible. I cannot begin on how horrible it was. But what I think was the worst and most inappropriate was the breast groping. Now, with my friend, I privately, might say like, oh, your boobs look bigger today. Oh, your boobs look smaller today. Oh, laying my head on her chest. Oh, your boobs are so soft. But that's a friend thing that we do in private. Not sexually private, but just private. And, I might poke her boob saying, squishy, just being stupid. But then I would grope everybody's boobs. I would touch people's boobs who I didn't even know they wanted it or not. They did it back to me. It was not appropriate. A big rumor spread about Sky and I being lesbians, being lesbian lovers. That didn't bother me then when it should have. Not that I don't mind that, that's fine. But just the fact that I was with somebody else. That should have bothered me more, but it did not bother me. And that's not right. And, I wasn't a greasy Naruto headband wielding Sailor Moon t-shirt, that type of, greasy, smelly, doesn't shower, has no friends anime fan. But I was pretty bad. I hope that nobody else really have to go through that. I'm hoping that weebiness starts to end But it won't. There will always be weebs. It's just a fact of life. A sad fact of life. And I'm glad that phase is over. I'm really glad that phase is over. Partially through that, I also went through my Ida phase with Lolita. Look at my first blog post. That headdress. I'm restarting from being an Ida, getting new clothes. I can't really wear Lolita every day like I used to. Well, what I thought was Lolita. And I'm getting better. I am recovering from weeabitis, and I am recovering from the Ida flu. Well, I hope this was interesting, me actually talking about myself being a horror story, glomping. Kawaii neko desu baka! All that crap. And I hope you can comment on yourself being a weeaboo, or anybody else you know being a weeaboo. But mainly yourself. You have to admit it. If you like anime, you were a weeb at one point, maybe you're a weeb now, I don't know. I know I don't really have any subscribers, but comment that shit. Bye. True.